Welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast, your ongoing source for clear, structured updates on global geostrategic challenges. We explore the forces shaping global power, crisis hotspots, and how governments react so you stay informed with less effort. Today, we're taking a deep dive into an intensifying conflict that most of us don't even realize is happening: the shadow war, or hybrid warfare waged by Russia and China against Western countries. We'll unpack the threats, examine the vulnerabilities within the U.S. response, and most importantly, explore the concrete solutions needed to navigate this new era of conflict. Okay, let's unpack this. When we talk about hybrid warfare or shadow war, it sounds like something straight out of a thriller novel. What exactly does it mean in real terms?
Yeah, it does sound dramatic, but it's very real. And distinct from conventional combat, think of it as conflicts fought deliberately below the threshold of traditional warfare.
Below the threshold, meaning?
Okay. Meaning they avoid actions that would trigger a direct military response. It happens across all sorts of domains, online platforms like TikTok, Instagram, encrypted apps, even through proxy criminal networks and our global supply chains.
So not just military targets, then?
Exactly.
Ah.
And what's crucial here is that these aren't primarily military operations. They're led by intelligence, security, and law enforcement assets.
Right.
The really big shift, I think, is that this covert manipulation of economic, political, social institutions, it isn't just a way to soften things up for a later battle anymore.
It's the main goal.
It's the main event now, an end in itself.
And Russia, in particular, seems to have dramatically escalated its efforts. The numbers are pretty stark. Attacks nearly tripled from 2023 to 2024.
That's right, after already quadrupling from 2022 to 2023. It's a massive jump.
So what are they actually doing?
Well, Russia is leveraging a surprisingly wide array of tactics. We've seen a real surge in explosives and incendiary attacks.
Like physical sabotage?
Yes. For instance, there was that major fire at the Deal Group factory in Germany. They make critical IRIS-T missiles for Ukraine.
Ah, okay, so targeting defense production.
Precisely. And an explosion at a BAE Systems plant in South Wales, too. These aren't random accidents. They're targeted actions meant to disrupt Western aid to Ukraine, so instability, that kind of thing.
So physical sabotage is definitely on the table. What about other methods, maybe less obvious ones?
Absolutely. Another method, which sounds almost crude, involves using blunt or edged instruments, often anchors from commercial ships.
Anchors? To do what?
To cut undersea fiber optic cables. We saw this with the new polar bear damaging cables, and a gas pipeline in the Baltic.
Wow.
And another vessel, the Vejan, damaging a cable between Latvia and Sweden. It really highlights how vulnerable critical undersea infrastructure is, like our transatlantic cables.
Vulnerable to low-tech methods, even.
Exactly. Surprisingly effective, though. Beyond that, electronic attack and GPS jamming have become quite common, especially along Russia's borders with NATO countries: Estonia, Finland, Poland.
What does that jamming do?
It causes flight deviations, navigation errors, it directly endangers lives and disrupts civilian infrastructure. And then there's the deliberate weaponization of illegal immigrants.
How does that work?
Russia and Belarus have orchestrated migrant surges at borders, like with Finland and Poland. The aim is to pressure institutions, overwhelm systems, and crucially fuel anti-migrant sentiment inside those countries, create internal friction.
We often hear about cyberattacks, of course. Are those mainly about stealing info, or are they causing physical damage too?
Good question. While a lot of cyber ops are intelligence-focused, some definitely have physical effects now. Take the cyber attacks against Poland's rail system.
Right, I remember hearing about that. Disruption.
Significant disruption to critical transport.
Yeah.
Russia-linked actors conduct hundreds of attacks, website defacement, denial of service. But increasingly, they are aiming to disrupt critical infrastructure like power grids, causing outages, maybe even physical harm.
And beyond these broad tactics, we've even seen reports of assassinations or plots against individuals in Western countries. What does that tell us?
It tells us Russia is willing to take extreme, quite visible steps. We saw the killing of the Russian defector Maxim Kuzminov in Spain, the attack on Navalny aide Leonid Volkov in Lithuania.
High-profile cases.
Yes, and what's particularly concerning is a potential shift towards targeting Western citizens with maybe no prior Moscow connection, like the threats against Armin Papriger, the CEO of Rheinmetall.
The German defense company.
That's the one. It signals a broadening of targets, maybe a higher level of aggression.
That's a lot to track regarding Russia's methods. Who exactly is behind these operations? It can't just be one central unit, right?
Not at all. It's complex, multi-layered. The key thing to understand is Russia uses distinct intelligence agencies for different jobs. and often blurs the lines with non-state actors for deniability.
Okay, like who?
Well, you have the GRU, Russia's military intelligence. They're known for the really audacious covert stuff, physical sabotage, assassinations. Unit 29-1555 is often linked to these.
Get the Skripal poisoning, guys.
Exactly. Then there's the SVR, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service. There's cyber units, like Nobelium, also called APT-29 or Midnight Blizzard. They were behind the huge SolarWinds supply chain attack.
That hit everyone.
It infiltrated thousands of systems globally, including many U.S. government ones. Very sophisticated. And then there's GUGI.
GUGI, never heard of them.
Main Directorate for Deep Sea Research.
Mm-hmm.
A secretive agency operating submarines, special vessels, for undersea sabotage and intelligence gathering, mapping critical infrastructure down there.
So military, foreign intel, undersea ops. What about non-state actors?
Right. Russia uses them extensively. Non-state and quasi-state actors.
Yeah.
Everything from criminal organizations for ransomware attacks.
Making money and causing chaos.
Yes. To disposable agents recruited online, maybe through Telegram or even online games. And importantly, Russia's shadow fleet of commercial ships.
The ones dodging sanctions.
Primarily, yes. But they're also suspected of being used for things like that undersea sabotage we talked about. This outsourcing gives them crucial deniability.
So what's the grand strategy here? Is Russia just trying to cause chaos? Or is there a bigger objective driving all this?
Oh, there's definitely a clear strategy. It's not just random disruption. Russia's objectives include influencing public opinion in the West, trying to coerce and deter governments, especially when it comes to aid for Ukraine.
Makes sense.
Creating fissures between NATO allies, weakening the alliance from within, and ultimately undermining Western democratic norms and institutions.
What are the benefits for them doing it this way?
Well, the big one is that these actions operate below that threshold of conventional war we mentioned. So they're less likely to trigger a direct military response, like NATO's Article 5.
Safe for
Relatively, yes. They're also comparatively inexpensive and often deniable because of the proxies. But these operations aren't without limitations.
Yeah.
Their impact can sometimes be limited in scope. And paradoxically, they can backfire sometimes, actually strengthening resolve in the countries they target.
Okay, so that's a pretty detailed picture of Russia's shadow war. Now let's shift to China. Their approach seems equally pervasive, but maybe with different long-term goals. How do their tactics compare?
China is definitely playing a related, but I'd say distinct, game. Their main focus is often described as transnational repression.
Transnational repression, what does that mean exactly?
It's generally defined as a human rights violation, where a state reaches across borders to stifle dissent and enhance control over its exile and diaspora communities living abroad.
So targeting their own citizens but overseas?
Primarily, yes. Though the scope is broadening, their tactics are quite broad.
Yeah.
Computer hacking, doxing, releasing private information online, coordinated cyberbullying campaigns, and even threatening victims' families back home in China.
It's chilling, using family as leverage.
Absolutely. Operations like Fox Hunt and Skynet reportedly coerced thousands of Chinese nationals to return from abroad, often through intense psychological pressure and what's called collective punishment against families. This is often orchestrated by agencies like the CCDI, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection.
Are they using violence like Russia?
Violent attacks seem rarer compared to Russia, probably due to the potential diplomatic fallout. But they do happen. For example, during the APEC summit in Los Angeles in 2023.
What happened there?
Pro-regime supporters, reportedly organized by the PRC consulate, actually physically assaulted anti-CCP protesters. It's not unheard of.
Who are the main actors for China in this?
China's Ministry of Public Security, or MPS, is often seen as leading these campaigns. But also, interestingly, seemingly innocuous groups like the Chinese Scholars and Students Associations, CSSAs.
The ones on university campuses.
Exactly. They've been accused of suppressing critics on campus and even aiding espionage, often managing to sidestep U.S. laws like FAIR, our Foreign Agent Registration Act, which was really designed to track more traditional foreign influence agents, like lobbyists.
And China's cyber operations, are they as persistent as Russia's, or do they have different aims?
Oh, they are persistent, and perhaps even more insidious in their long-term goals.
Yeah.
China runs these extensive cyber espionage campaigns, like Volt Typhoon and Salt Typhoon.
What are they after?
These aren't usually about immediate disruption. It's more about methodically establishing long-term footholds in critical U.S. infrastructure. We're talking telecommunications, maritime ports, power grid systems, just sitting there, potentially waiting.
That sounds deeply worrying.
It is. And what's striking here is the similarity in some tactics with Russia. China has also allegedly used Chinese-owned commercial vessels like the Yiping 3 to cut undersea cables specifically near Taiwan.
Okay, so cable cutting isn't unique to Russia.
It seems not. And this broadening scope where Beijing now defines overseas interests to include things like its international image and targets critical NGOs, it really points towards a deeper, systemic, almost hegemonic struggle against the U.S.
So if we connect all this to the bigger picture, it really sounds like the U.S. is already struggling to respond effectively to these multi-pronged, non-traditional threats. Why is the U.S. often described as already losing this new kind of war?
We'll be answering this crucial question in part 2 of the podcast, where we'll also dive into the concrete solutions needed to effectively counter these complex threats. Don't miss it. See you in the next episode.
If you found this discussion valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the Geostrategic Podcast for more in-depth analysis on topics that shape our world. Stay informed, stay ahead, and stay tuned for the next episode.